Hey everybody, thanks for being here. If indeed you are here at the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream, we're just about to get the show going. Let's see, who do we got here? We got Echo26, Fatima Smith, The Gozerian, JD, what's up everybody? Okay, just a heads up, we have been having some trouble with our forwarding address, canarycry.live. Canarycry.live was this magical URL that we thought would simplify the process of finding the show and watching it live. Turns out that that's not working for everybody. It barely works for me. And other people, however, admit that it's the most convenient thing in the world. So we're not quite sure exactly which one it is, but we hope to get it fixed. So apologies, because canarycry.live is the URL that we have been using and sending out in the email and the text message and everything. It was supposed to change the world. And for some people, it has not done that. So apologies. And I don't know if there's anybody out there who's smarter than us, which is most of you, who could help us fix that. That'd be very convenient. Just send us an email, canarycryradio@gmail.com. Other than that, I wanted to give sincere gratitude to all the producers, whether you produce with your time or your talent or your treasure, no matter what you do to help keep this show alive. We are extraordinarily grateful to you. And we hope that this value for value system can carry us on throughout the year. So there you go. A little something from us. Other than that, we're going to get the show going. We're going to be so efficient today. It's going to be amazing. Everybody's going to be very impressed. So on that note, let's go ahead and get this show started.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is May 8th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 621, and today, mental engineering. Signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle, your best buddy Basil.
And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit films. Wife calls me the Cabana Boy. Your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. In today's emergent phenomenon, we have a new king. There is a new king in the world.
Ew, one of those gross lizard people, human
lizard
kings. Nobody wants any of those anymore. Nobody wants those anymore.
King.
I cannot believe that we did not mention the coronation on Friday's episode. But it happened. We're Americans. That's what happens.
There were a lot of articles leading up to it, and we just ignored it over. I mean, I had it in the notes multiple times, and we were like, I'll do it later. And then everybody got distracted.
That's the thing. A lot of people will pay attention to the articles that we bring to the show. But there's a subtle art when it comes to our specific brand of, a little bit off-centered coverage of world events, is that, sometimes we just decide that we do not care about something that like
everyone's paying attention
the coronation, right? But we'll be mentioning it here. We got some things to look into because it's much more exciting afterward than it was before. But first, Gons, let me give you a disclaimer.
Which doesn't seem to matter to YouTube because our last video was completely banned. It might have not been because of something we said, but
we knew.
Yeah.
We knew.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. Let me give you a rundown, guys.
Oh, no, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Starting out with a Vice update. That's right. How is the establishment recovering from such a debilitating debacle that is Vice News? So, well, they see the tides are turning. They know independent media is the future. And what do? They sell out even more. We'll talk about that as well as just a touch on the coronation of King Charles and what the aliens think about that, because that's what's most important. Then Flippy is going artsy-fartsy, folks. He does it every once in a while, but truly this must be the one that changes everything. And then we'll be diving into a broad meta-analysis of some of the gun control conversations and the different directions that is pulled in by members of the media and politicians, and what might be lurking beneath. Then checking in with Texas and new legislation to possibly ban foreign citizens from purchasing farmland. How did that bill start out, and where is it now? And what do the really
liberals
smart
call
people
them? Just
think
say liberals.
the smart people, the really caring, smart people have some things to say.
Sure.
Then we'll be checking out COVID, just real quick, a quick touch on COVID, which includes long COVID, and everybody is sort of confusion about whether it exists or not. But most importantly, we're running out of monkeys. What are we going to do without these research monkeys? I'm sure technology has something for us. California, knew some science, been making some progress on reparations. The state that never had slavery, but very exciting times there. And there might be some creative bookkeeping involved. Then at the end, moon bases. You know what's going on. Let's get started, folks.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
Yeah.
Yes. Quick mention here before Gons tells us about aliens. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal. Vice Media nears deal for $400 million sale out of bankruptcy. That's right, Vice Media, the edgiest news institution to come out of the early 21st century, didn't make it. It's bad choices. Things went south. Advertisers, not a huge fan. Ideology getting in the way. Took the money, sold out, admittedly, and went bankrupt. So what do again? You sell out again. Vice Media nears deal for $400 million sale out of bankruptcy. Vice Media is nearing a deal for senior lenders, including Fortress Investment Group and Soros Fund Management to acquire the troubled media company out of bankruptcy at a valuation of around $400 million, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, if you've already been familiar with the matter, which you should be if you've listened to this show, you'll know that Vice News was already wrapped up in the Soros establishment for, I think, to the tune of $250 million. Am I correct?
As documented by Project Harvard.edu, where they document the funding of all of the mainstream media outlets. And
yes,
Vice Media received $250 million in debt funding from Soros and Fortress back in 2019, Soros. And Monroe Capital.
Yeah.
Is Monroe involved in this new deal, or did they get left out? Who knows? Who cares?
This is a classic move of throwing good money after bad. Yeah, we gave you $250 million for your news thing. Oh, you did a bad job and you're bankrupt? Okay, we'll give you $400 million more.
Give you more. Who knew that Vice would be too big to fail? I mean, that's pathetic. I mean, think about the implications of what we have here, Basil, you and I, with this value for value, and trying to keep it a little under the radar so we can say what we want and preach what we want. But for Vice, it's just like they couldn't let it go. They're like, no, we can't let the Vice sink. We've built it to such influence. We must keep it going.
And what this hints at is that it's not a financial decision. This is an ideological, strategic decision, because Vice, more than anything, it's the brand. It's the brand that matters. It represents edgy, ideological, forward-thinking, young, hip news journalism. News journalism, and that's it still holds. Everybody has something nice to say about Vice, even myself, who thinks they are a total joke. But they did good work in the past, and that is what is keeping this going. And yeah, when Soros is throwing $400 million after a failed $250 million, that there is a bigger reason for that. That is not lost on anybody here.
Well,
quick mention here from the story. Oh, no, you got something?
I was just going to mention yeah, maybe you were going to go there, is that the other names mentioned in the Harvard document, as well as this article, is the mention of TPG Group, 6th Street Partners, and media mogul James Murdoch. James Murdoch being the son of Rupert Murdoch. So this is Soros kind of bailing out.
Son.
Right. But interesting how Soros is kind of bailing out Murdoch in a sense. But anyway.
Well, it's even better. It says here, nearly every Vice stakeholder, including backers such as private equity firm TPG Group, 6th Street Partners, and media mogul James Murdoch, would be wiped out under the proposed reorganization. The people familiar with the matter said outstanding debts held by TPG and 6th Street would also be impaired as far as part of the plan, the people said. The Murdoch family is a major shareholder in the journal parent News Corp. The planned sale of the company to its lenders would value Vice at around $400 million, including debt, the people said, a steep drop from its peak valuation of $5.7 billion in 2017. It's taking what is this? This is like a 89% hit or something since 2017. The final purchase price could also change as part of negotiations between the company and the lender group, the people said. So, yeah, I think you said it right. Too big to fail, Guns. They cannot let Vice, in all of its sort of, mystical power over the hearts of specifically young progressives, things like that. It would just be too big of a waste to let it go.
It's like they harvested, they went looking for gold in their eyes, and they can't let it go. They're like, no, we have to keep the same pile of gold we found. We can't let them take over that part. So interesting.
Sure. I mean, I bet somebody out there knows what you meant there. Just kidding. Listen,
glad you don't. I speak in code to my minions. No.
I think you do. Here's part of your code.
Mm-hmm.
With roots in Montreal's underground publishing scene, Vice became a force in digital media as its gonzo approach to reporting the news often made its stories and documentaries go viral online. Yeah. Big media investors like 21st Century Fox and private equity firms invested as a digital media boom kicked off in the early 2010s. But Vice failed to mature into a major media force, much like other upstart digital news organizations that are now in distress or closing down, i.e. wink, wink, BuzzFeed News.
Wow, that sounds like my wife, failed to mature. There's something going on here. This is like a weird meta analogy of my life happening to Vice here. I feel for you, Vice, but glad you sold out. Glad Soros came in with his cape. And
that's a pretty good deal. That's
a really good deal.
To sell out multiple times. What a great deal for them.
Well, it's funny now too because we now know for sure. Nobody can say it's Soros fund. No, it's a Soros op now, and nobody can deny that anymore.
That's one of the fun parts. Yeah, it's no longer Soros funded. Well, he's he's an investor. He's a minority stakeholder. So it's not. No, he just straight up owns it now, full on, full out. Takes away a little bit of the ambiguity there. So like it or not, we'll be seeing and hearing more from Vice for a very long time, which is good for this show, I guess.
Yeah, thanks, George. Keep us analyzing and deconstructing your nonsense over there, especially. Maybe that's why the hubris from that last article where we were breaking down just the nonsense coming out of Vice, maybe that's what it was. They're like, haha, George saved us with 400 million. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
have fun with this one, podcasters.
Yeah, that's the whole shtick. The whole reason why he's out there is to take down podcasters like us. That's the war. Okay. Well,
I think he's helping us.
Yeah. Well, there's some UFOs, I guess.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Alien. It's unidentified.
Well, everyone was talking about the coronation of King Charles III. Other people were looking up. The Jerusalem Post. Photographer captures footage of strange UFO at King Charles's coronation. Because, of course, their lizard children is being honored. Great honor of gold and sickles and orbs. Photographer Simon Balson took a picture of what seemed to be a UFO flying above UK King Charles III's coronation, multiple British news outlets reported. Balson, 59, was photographing the Red Arrow's aerial display when he caught the UFO on camera from his apartment building, but he didn't notice until he went through the photos on a later date, which is yesterday. Quote,
that's how it works.
The weather was bad, so there were no birds in the air. Oh, maybe a signal went out to the government bird drones, like, hey, clear the path. And I couldn't really see the planes, so I didn't check the photos until later. When I did, though, I spotted this weird object and just thought, what the HE double hockey sticks is that? Balson said exactly like that, according to the Mirror. And, of course, this Jerusalem Post article goes on. I'll come back to it. But just for the sake of having a visual of what this thing looked like, the mirror.co.uk actually published a photo with a zoom of the thing. It looks like a kind of a heart or something, a big red blurb in the sky. That's maybe that's Queen Elizabeth's resurrected body in a UFO watching over.
It kind of looks like a hat, like somebody lost a hat and it's just flying through
in the air. Yeah, kind of what are those Shriner hats? Kind of like a Shriner hat moving real fast.
Fez. Yeah, right.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe it's
unidentified Fez object.
The photographer described the strange object as he's got it down, a floating acorn or something. But said he didn't know he didn't know what it could be, according to the Mirror. He added, there have been a lot of strange UFO sightings recently, so I thought other people might be able to guess what it was. And then to two Jerusalem Post's, the design options or decisions or whatever, they have a photo here from Pixabay, one of these stock images. of an alien UFO being seen above a city in this illustrative image, and it's like a very
like
generic
a
city and this humongous
enormous.
UFO. So when I was
like
scrolling,
a mile wide.
When I first got into this article, started scrolling, there was maybe a fraction of a second where I was like, "Whoa, this is the craziest UFO!" Oh, it's just a stock image. Jerusalem Post.
Yeah, but honestly, what is even the point of coronating? Is that the right use of the word? Coronating King Charles?
Yeah, coronavirus.
If UFOs don't show up,
exactly.
Like there's no way that there wouldn't be aliens showing up.
Yeah. King Charles III, an alien, a mutant reptile monster, or vampire? That is the Jerusalem Post, right? I think goes straight to the heart of the situation here.
Aliens.
There are many,
which is really weird. Because they then spend some time here, which I'm sure you'll share with us.
Yeah.
Like summarizing all of the conspiracy theories about King Charles. Well, not all of them, but kind of the fun
royal
ones.
Bloodline,
which was just a really interesting choice. If you're trying to be taken seriously, or it's really a sign of the stigma of these types of things being lifted from the mainstream, I think.
Yeah. There are many conspiracy theories widespread throughout the UK public and abroad regarding the true, in quotes, identity of the British royal family. Dame Helen Mirren, according to The Guardian, described the royal family as being like aliens who live in a world, quote, so beyond our understanding. Which, okay, I mean, yeah, if you're royalty, your life is not like the common person, but that's...
Sure.
You can make the analogy. But that's not all. Conspiracy theorist David Icke has been heavily criticized for his anti-Semitic ideology, has insisted that the royal family are shape-shifting reptilian lizards. And then they quote him here, "I've traveled and been to 50 countries to research it." He's been to 50 countries to research if the royal family are lizard people. Man, he's got a good job. David Icke was cited as saying by News 24, quote, "It took the form of meeting people who tell of experiences of seeing people, often in positions of power, change from human form to a reptilian form and back again in front of their eyes. Quote, the hybrids became demigods, part human, part god. They were obviously perceived as gods. The hybrid bloodline were the ones that became the royal families of the world. In the Chinese Empire, they claimed the right to be emperor because they are descendants from the serpent god. It is all founded on the myth of dragon, and they all come from the reptilian connection to justify the right of rule." Yeah, published in Jerusalem Post.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, there's additional theories that they are vampires because the theory is based on the belief that the King Charles... Oops, what happened there? King Charles is a descendant, I think, of Vlad the Impaler, who inspires the mythos of Dracula. This theory is something Charles himself claimed back in 2011. Ahead of a documentary about Romania's forests, saying that he, and by extension the royal family, are related to Vlad the Impaler through his great-grandmother, Mary of Teck, CBS reported at the time. So there you go, a little gem to the actual connection to Vlad the Impaler. Adding to this theory, the royal family has many sufferers of a condition called porphyria. Is that how you say it? Porphyria.
Yeah, I'm not looking right at it.
Which causes skin sensitivity to sunlight. According to an article in Scientific American, porphyria may have inspired popular legends of vampires and werewolves. So there you go.
Yeah, kind of how Prince Andrew doesn't sweat.
Right. Yeah, they got some weird...
sweat a lot? I forget which one it was.
I think
they all have
sweat.
These weird little mutations.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, the coronation itself, thank you to the people who sent emails and links and notes, and I think there were some good observations about the whole ceremony there. Lots of swords and old Byzantine chants, and it was pretty, and beautiful at moments, and then at other moments my brain was going, oh my goodness, this is the thing to the thing and the conspiracy thingy, and of course, we can't sit here and talk about it all day because this podcast will be 15 hours doing a live coverage of the King coronation.
And
otherwise,
we're not doing that again, folks. Just
not again.
One time. Never going to do it again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congrats, peasants, on your new king. We appreciate the enthusiasm, and we appreciate the aliens showing up to give us at least something interesting to talk about for 5 minutes. And with that, Gons, aliens and the lizard people and the vampires. What day it is?
Okay. Well, you cut out for a second, so I didn't know you were going there. I misheard or didn't hear.
That's okay. We're rocking and rolling, bro. We're professionals. We can just glide on through.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Yep, we did it. Congratulations, everybody, for making it to another Monday. We want to thank you for being here and listening and coming back. You did not have to come back, but you did, and we really appreciate that. Gons, what keeps you coming back to the show?
Hanging out with you, to be honest.
That's cute. Friends. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, really?
I just like hanging out with my buddy, talking about weird stuff on the internet.
Yeah, it's like it's its own form of therapy, to just to process the things of the world and then kind of get on with life.
I really don't think I would be well. I would be unwell if I did not have this outlet to talk about the things that I see going on in the world. Yeah. So, there's going to be a theme. I mean, the name of this show is Mental Engineering. There is a theme of mental health and what that looks like and what the government wants to do about it, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, I'm so grateful to this show, specifically the producers, for keeping the show going. It's unimaginable that this is a job, that this is what I get to do as a job, because if it weren't the case, I would be an unwell man. So thank you to all the producers for keeping me at least stable, mentally stable. I appreciate that.
Yeah. There's a lot of change coming up too. We're moving. We're starting the actual physical move down.
Yeah, you got a lot going on.
Yeah, we're gonna get a new office. That's a big deal. That's only happened a few times in my life. So and it'll be. I think it'll be good for the show, for Age of Deceit, for all the stuff that we do here. It'll be nice to actually have a home office, which I know is kind of counterintuitive. Like, we were doing stuff before from home, but it's a different situation, and we're getting into a different phase of this whole thing. So
it's very exciting, very exciting, big move. And we warned everybody before, but we'll do it again. Starting like next week, things we'll go through. We're going to be working really hard to keep everything as consistent and stable as possible. But if things get a little shaky, please forgive us. We're trying to keep this ball rolling with such a big move. But we understand that you understand, and will give us some grace if things get a little wiggly over the next couple weeks. But we promise we'll get everything back on track as soon as we can.
Yep.
Other than that, Gons, it's time to thank executive producers.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model. We take no corporate money whatsoever, which means we get to thank you, real human beings, for keeping this show going, and we don't have to thank sponsors or whatever. Isn't that nice? I mean, it's nice for me. Again, my theme today, I'm going to be trying to keep it as concise as possible. So I'm pretty much just going to be thanking you over and over and over again for giving us this opportunity to do this show, because, my goodness, the alternative is hard to imagine. Well, it's not hard to imagine. It's easy to imagine. It's unpleasant to imagine. And so the executive producers are listeners just like you. They come in, they produce the show with their time, their talent, or their treasure. But the execs, they come in so generous with $100 or more for any one episode. And we like to thank them at the top. Ready?
Yep.
Everybody stand up and put your hand on your heart and join me in a rousing sing-song to executive producer Morgan E.
Morgan E. back again.
Morgan E. 26 episodes in a row. Been producing. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, Morgan E. came in with a nice round number, which means we don't disclose that. But if you don't mind us disclosing your amount, make it a funky number, add 33 cents or something like that. But other than that, I think that is our one and only executive producer for the day, which means one and only executive producer for a couple episodes here, I think.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Morgan E. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. But I will say, I do want to thank a couple people who signed up for the supply drop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my Dylan Mulvaney.
You have a Dylan Mulvaney?
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much. What
you
am I doing?
You should do this as Dylan Mulvaney.
No, I will not do that. CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com.
I tried, folks. Sorry.
Canary Cry Supply Drop. Go check it out. This is a group of elite warriors around the world who produce the show for $33.33 a month, which is wonderful. It keeps us going. It gives us something to expect. To actually have a budget for next month is wonderful. And as a thank you, they receive free gifts all year round. 4 times a year, once per quarter, we send out a package filled with custom-created, producer-produced, artist-designed Canary Cry gear, made in America, by the way. And this is a very special year, 2023, because each quarter we'll be sending out a DVD copy of Age of Deceit 1, 2, and 3, leading up to the grand finale of Gonza's release of Age of Deceit 4. So these are not available for retail. These are just thank you gifts. There's a lot more in the package as well, by the way. I should get the list of what's going in this next quarter.
You should.
I think. Okay, no, I want to confirm before I put it out there. But anywho, we got some people signing up. I want to thank them. Ready?
Yep.
We got supply dropper Wilson.
Wilson, is that the ball?
Yeah, this the volleyball.
The
yes,
friendly, imaginary friend ball.
Well, it was a real ball, wasn't imaginary ball, but yeah. Thank you very much, Wilson, and we miss you.
Thank you for keeping us company.
Next up, we've got supply drop producer Brianna S.
Brianna S. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I can't think of any fictional ball-based character named Brianna S., but we thank you anyways. And last but not least, we've got supply drop producer Finn M.
Finn M. Yeah. Finished? Like
our Finnish friends from Finland. Uh-huh. Thank you very much, Finn M. All right. That's it. Thank you guys for signing up. And we really want to encourage everybody, if it's possible, if it's at all possible, within the blessings that the Lord is bringing to your life, to allocate $33.33 our way every month. That's just $2.77 per episode, which pretty good deal, I think. And you want to get cool stuff like Age of Deceit DVDs, apparel, survival gear, that kind of stuff. Go to CanaryCrySupplyDrop.com and sign up. You just have our dearest and sincerest gratitude. And I'm just going to say, go to CanaryCryMeetups.com to find all the meetups and go to them. Or put one on yourself.
Canary Cry Meetups.
That's it. You know the deal. Go to CanaryCryMeetups.com. Find a meetup near you. If there's not one, put one on yourself. Just email us the details, and we'll put it out there into the world. There is one coming up real soon, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I did. Is the May 13th one still on? The Houston, Texas
Is that
one?
Houston? No. Glen Rose, I think, is the next one. End of this month?
Glen Rose. There's NorCal Zephyr Books, May 15th.
Oh, that's the one. California, Eureka, California, May 15th. Go check it out, Californians. All right, let's get on with the show.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. You know him, you love him. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world. Now there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from thenextweb.com. You've heard about the first web, but now it's time for the next web. The headline is From Michelangelo to Robots. This startup is carving a new era of sculpture. Ooh.
Published on May 5th at 8:33 a.m.
That's right. That's right. Subheadline is From Chisels and Dust to Point Clouds and AI. Not as catchy as I think they wanted it to be, but you get the point. Carrara, the Italian city famous for some of the world's finest marbles, has given birth to the masterpieces of Renaissance masters such as Michelangelo and Antonia Canova. Now, right in the heart of the city's quarry district, a startup aims to carve a new era of sculpture in which robots pick up, or rather become, the chisel.
Ooh.
Founded by Filippo Tincolini and Chiyomocho Masari. This guy's name is Filippo.
Spell it out for him.
I'm pretty sure it's Filippo. It's a little suspicious, though, because, of course, it's a Flippy update. I think Filippo is like, yes, I'm an Italian human man, not a robot. I am not the Flippy robot. That's my cousin. I'm human Filippo Tincolini. Roboters' mission is to revolutionize the industry by simplifying and sculpting the sculpting process with the use of robotics and artificial intelligence. I love the idea that they're simplifying sculpting by getting like $1 million worth of high-tech, cutting-edge AI, et cetera, et cetera. That's simplifying the process than a guy with a hammer and a chisel. The aim is to make sculpture faster, easier, and more sustainable.
Yeah, that's right.
More sustainable, Gons.
Well,
you may not have known this, but Michelangelo and the great sculptors of the past with their hammer and chisel, they're the ones to blame for climate change.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
The carbon footprint of a guy with a hammer has really put us all at risk, and I can't wait for these robots to save us.
Plus, the statues from yesteryear, they all fall apart, right? They don't last.
Yeah, and they need to put some clothes on. That's what's going on.
They have some really dramatic images in this article. These photographs that are done of the machine, a robot arm, this gigantic arm sculpting certain things, and they did a good job with the. This is a
giant Flippy arm with a chisel on the end, which just coincidentally, I'm not making any suggestions, but could also be used to, beat human beings into submission if we do not obey.
Probably do a lot of things with that thing. Probably drill a hole in your head. It could probably.
The aim is to make sculpture faster, easier, and more sustainable, while enabling artists to create works that would otherwise be inconceivable. Okay, Gons? This is to enable artists. It's to empower the artists, the sculptors who spent their lives training and practicing and learning and living the anguish of what I imagine is quite the low-paying gig of being a sculptor, a marble sculptor. These poor artists. They now have a new tool, which is AI and automatic sculptor robot.
Are we going to get a sculptor revolution, kind of a robot sculpturist celebrity type? Or is this just going to be...
That's a good question. That's a great question.
Let's find out. You could be... Can you imagine you putting on full display a robot arm that chisels out of, I don't know, diamond or something? It's got to be something dramatic. A carving of you with the googly eyes and the whole deal. That
with my imaginary muscles that the artists of this show have rendered so delicately for years now, to finally put it in the form that it deserves, a three-dimensional sculpture.
In the 3D meat space. Yeah.
To answer your question, yes, I could totally imagine that. Okay. Drawing from research and the interaction between art, the local area, tradition, and technology, the startup has developed a robot chisel driven by self-programming software.
Oh, good.
Okay, so they're sort of trying to give this impression, much like how a sculpture is an interaction between art and the local area and tradition, and a chisel and just one man with a vision. And as you scrape away the excess, you set free the sculpture beneath it. Same thing, except it's robots and artificial intelligence, and the artists have so very little to do with it. This will, I will say, makes fancy sculptures much more affordable, I'd say. Yeah, maybe. Just thinking.
Well, you got to buy the code. You got to buy the code, the data for making your own Michelangelo. So maybe the data is expensive.
Now listen to this. I'm skipping a paragraph going down here. Following increasing orders, the collaboration with world-renowned artists such as Barry X. Ball and the creation of the Ark of Palmyra replica after the original was destroyed by ISIS in 2015. The duo founded Robotor. It's literally just called Robotor. Robotor. In 2019, the size and funding of the company remain undisclosed. Secret company. Quote, our robots are born from sculptors or co-founder Giacomo Massari tells TNW, quote, they are born from those who perfectly know traditional sculpture in a territory, Carrara, in which is the homeland of sculpture. So they're trying really, really hard to make these robots not sound like an abomination.
The dystopian,
of an invention.
The cutting edge of dystopia.
Yeah, that is.
They're trying to culture it. They're trying to ingrain it into the culture that exists already.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why they had to do it in the place that they were doing it. They had to, this is just a manifestation of all tradition and talent and hard work over hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of years. All of that is being concentrated on one robot. That's a pretty hefty, load for that robot to carry. It's kind of emotionally, I could see somebody start to crack, like marble being attacked by a robot chisel. The idea behind their development is, quote, to entrust a robot with tiring work, Massari adds. But the entire Robotor project is born from a precise philosophy that is the daughter of 18 years of experience in stone processing. So these guys have been, sculpting for 18 years, going on 20 years, and they're just tired of it. They're, geez Louise, this is exhausting. Why have I spent my whole life doing this?
It's so interesting how it's such a great commentary on culture, like ethics, and because even for us, we were the last people. We are the last people on Earth, Basil, who remember the world before the internet. And, things like hard work, a little elbow grease, wax on, wax off, like that kind of stuff was, you gotta work a little bit, to get things done. But now our generation is like, so hard. Why don't we just let the robot do it? And it's just a great commentary on where we are as a society. So anyway.
All of this staging that they've created in this article about this robot is they're very specifically building the narrative that the artist is still the artist.
Right.
And the artist, they're building the
just
infrastructure.
A new paintbrush.
Right, exactly. They're building the infrastructure that an artist can use AI, self-learning programming, programs, and a robot to do all the hard work, but the human can still put their name on it, and we've seen this with things like, Mid-Journey, graphic art, even writing with ChatGPT. All this is kind of the trend that everything goes in, but this is much different because at the end of it, you get a gigantic statue carved from marble. This is not a poem or a rap lyrics written by ChatGPT. This is not a weird
display of the thing, the intersection of all these disciplines.
Which in a way holds a lot of promise in one sense because it's an actual object.
Right.
You know, it has actual sort of value in that it is extant instead of sort of amorphous. So I think this is going to work out for these guys pretty well. And here's the thing. We could dive into complaining about how this is destroying art and taking what is human away from humans and, trivializing the expertise, the things that make a good sculpture impressive, which is a lifelong devotion to hitting rocks with a hammer, and turning it into a commodity, which arguably art already has become. We could go through all that, but we've already done that. And all I really want to say is to these sculptors who became roboticists is good for you guys. Take a load off. Put your feet up.
I wonder.
We'll be okay.
There is something to be said about the whole idea of making it, kind of like a new paintbrush or whatever. Because you think about, and I know this from the world of guitars, because when I was growing up, I had to go down to the local grocery shop, buy a Guitar World magazine, and hope that the songs that are in there are songs that I know or like want to learn on guitar. And then I look at the tab, and it was a big process. Now it's just go to YouTube and there's thousands of tutorials and blah 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 on guitar. And as a result, a lot of young people are really good at guitar. So the technology is sort of and drummers are the same way. Because of electronic drums, these drummers are coming out now. They're very precise. They're very good at keeping time, blah, 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 all that stuff. Is the same thing going to happen here where the sculptist, is that how you say it? What's the proper word for that? Anyway. Sculptor. I'm reading these funny words, making me forget words. Okay, yeah, the sculptor improves or figures out certain tricks or something because of the new robot arm, because it's a speed thing, right? It saves time. It speeds it up. It does the work for you. So maybe there's different techniques, but I don't see it as something that improves the sculptor in that way where it's like, oh, I'm a better sculptor because I watched this robot arm do it for so long.
No, that is a good point. You talk about what exactly is being lost, and it's the experience that an artist or a craftsperson gets in executing their craft. It's less about the lameness of sort of, whatever value depreciates when it's made by a robot instead of a human, which, philosophically, literally, economically, there is some sort of degradation there, just a bit. But it's also, it almost doubles the loss because the artist, the sculptor, is losing whatever experience that would have improved their art by taking, whatever it takes, months to actually do the work. And, for these guys who invented it, that's probably going to be great. Probably not going to be a huge life altering amount of experience lost. But you put this a couple generations down the road, and I don't think any more sculptures are made by humans.
It's the calculator effect and the smartphone effect. Before you want to do some calculations, you got to on a blackboard, you got to, write pages and pages of equations. Nah, just punch it into a computer. It'll do it for you. And, nobody's impressed by the guy who knows how to do the pages and pages of the every little part of the equation to get to your conclusion. It's like, no, just use a computer or use a calculator. Same kind of deal culturally, maybe in the future, where it's like, this man recreated all the Michelangelo sculptures, by hand, took his whole life to do it. And people are going to be like, what a waste of time, man. You could have been doing some other stuff. Let the robot do it. They did it in 2 weeks or something, So anyway.
Yeah, it'll almost be sort of virtuous
so the value
will
be
the robot to work.
Right. Yeah.
Especially because it'll save the earth.
Exactly. It's sustainable.
Yeah.
Okay. What else is sustainable?
There you go, everybody. Flippy is coming for your, blocks of marble. Hide them away.
Okay.
Don't let the robots find them or else they'll be destroyed.
All right. So we have collectively, we'll just call it a beast system thing, although there are many moving parts.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
We were trying to figure out how to present this theme that we've been noticing crop up, quite a bit the last few weeks, but in the context of just the sheer number of violent events that is being reported and erupting around the country here, there's a common thing going on. So first of all, we'll start with gun control.
Gun violence is an epidemic.
There's a 33 reference in there.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
And it has to do with the Texas mall shooter. abcnews.go.com. After mall shooting, Abbott, that's governor, says mental health crisis must be solved. Biden calls for weapons ban. And it says here, Texas lawmakers on Sunday reacted to the latest mass shooting in America, an outdoor mall north of Dallas, by focusing on the importance of mental health treatment and prayer. In an interview on Fox News Sunday, Governor Greg Abbott pointed to shootings in other states with stricter gun laws and argued that prioritizing mental health could help prevent more violence. 8 people were fatally shot and 7 others were injured before the suspected gunman was killed by police on Saturday in Allen, Texas, authorities have said. Well, quote, what we've seen across the United States over the past year or two is an increased number of shootings in both red states and blue states, Shannon. We've seen, I don't know what it says, Shannon Bream. Shannon, what? We've seen an increased number of shootings in states with easy gun laws as well as states with very strict gun laws, Abbott, a Republican, told anchor Shannon Bream on Sunday. Quote, one thing that we can observe very easily is that there has been a dramatic increase in the amount of anger and violence that's taking place in America. And what Texas is doing is, in a big-time way, we're working to address that anger. Yeah, big time, like Texas. Big time. To address that anger and violence by going to its root cause, which is addressing the mental health crisis behind it, Abbott said.
Oh, the humanity that psychopathic Texan Governor Abbott wants to care for people's mental health. Hey, wait. Aren't we supposed to support that, fellow pink-haired barista? Yeah, no, but not when Abbott does it.
Not when Republicans want it. Then it's oppression.
Then it's
it is
fascism.
authoritarian. It's fascism. It is mind control.
Mind control.
Don't try to change me. I'm crazy, and you want me to not be crazy? That's fascism.
Yeah, so part of the reason why the 33 is in there is because the shooter here, for one of the shootings, was 33 years old. I think he was the one that was labeled white supremacist, connection to
neo-Nazi,
neo-Nazi,
white supremacist,
but he
was a Mexican man. I mean, this is just who he is.
Like.
Yeah. So we've got all these, Southern Texans experiencing some horrible, horrible things. And the media, as usual, is, well, they're all Nazis. They're all white supremacists. They're all, that's weird because isn't his name Garcia or something like that? Yeah, but no, he's a white supremacist. Okay.
He had gang signs tattooed on his hand, though. Isn't that? No, he's still KKK, I guess.
So he has cartel tattoos, which means he's in the Klan. Well, that kind of points out a little bit of the meta narrative that has sort of been revealing itself. So we know when it comes to situations like this, of which there have been too many, the left will take the side of it's ban all guns. Yep. It's an availability issue. You know, if we only made guns illegal for cartel members to shoot people at malls, then cartel members would not shoot people at malls. I mean, is that simple? Why does it seem so confusing?
At this point, I've made the joke about the laser guns, but if you ban like traditional guns, I can see some cartels going the direction of laser guns or like heat guns or something.
For sure.
Yeah. So
immediately.
We're not going to have an old school gun problem. We're going to have laser gun problems.
Right. I mean, there's one flaw in your theory there, which is if you ban regular guns, the cartel's still going to have regular guns. They don't need lasers.
Baby. They're going to upgrade.
They are not law-abiding citizens. So what's sort of being revealed here yet again is you've got guns are the problem, and then the right comes in and says mental health is the problem, where, well, of course, the left knows mental health is a problem, but not when it applies to gun violence, of course. But what this shooting kind of revealed is sometimes it's neither the existence of guns nor the mental health of the shooter. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just organized crime. Organized crime, whether it's, cartels, different gangs, intelligence agencies, psyops, whatever, organized crime is organized crime. And it's in no way connected to mental health or the existence of guns. And I think that it's not talked about enough because there's nothing to do about it. You could be like Trump and say we're going to invade Mexico to go get the cartels. Of course, if you've been listening to the show or paying attention recently, cartel activity is skyrocketed.
Yeah, in the news too. We had the shooter at large. We had people sending apology letters. There's been a lot of weird stuff in the news about the cartels and their involvement in various ways. Fentanyl,
right? And we know the history. We know the history of U.S. Intelligence agencies in constant communication with cartels, oftentimes teaming up for certain things, or at least in business together. This is documented and available to anybody who wants to go looking for it. It's also in TV shows. It's all over the place. Right. It's mythologized. It's in the culture. It's not something that is so outside the realm of imagination from the conversation as it is. And this makes me really suspicious that, perhaps in some form, the false left-right paradigm of it's guns or it's mental health. No, it's not, it's guns, it's mental health, this type of thing, directly empowers organized crime to continue committing its sort of economically driven, power-driven crime spree. It's the idea that it must be the guns or it must be mental health. Both of these things, they're only being talked about because those are politically, you can act politically. You can pass a law to show that you've done something. It's hard to what law are you going to pass against organized crime by the cartels or the CIA or whatever that doesn't already exist? There's nothing to do. So I think it's entirely absent from the conversation for that political reason. But I think there's also spiritual reasons. Of course, you talk about the powers, principalities that are in control around here. It's built into the system. It's almost like our current system of not just economic system of capitalism, but the weird oligarchical power structure of the United States government with ever more granular groups of people who are not elected making moves against American people for the benefit of whatever funding of their department or something. It's built right into the system. That's the only way for anybody to accomplish true power is for organized crime and the United States to at least dance a beautiful dance together. If not straight up, allied, they are at least sort of metaphorically whipping around the dance floor, doing a nice little tango that's good for both of them.
Yeah, well, in the case of this particular shooter, yes, the cartel conversation comes in. A lot of the shooters recently, I think, especially in Texas, have to do with that. The 33 years old is interesting. We've seen that a lot of 33-year-old shooters. And I actually was trying to dig up whether that is true, because it might just be a bias that we see. Like, hey,
sure,
we're always looking for the number 33, and we're often seeing it in these shooters every once in a while. So did a little digging around trying to look for some data. And I came across something called the Violence Project. And it's funded by the National Institute of Justice. And so it's an official government sort of operation. They say they're nonpartisan and, the whole deal. But it is government funded. And there's, a couple people that run it. And what they've done is they've created this large database that tracks shooters in America from 1966 to present. And I believe, I think the cutoff for some of this data, March 2021. Yeah, correct, to March 2021. So basically, you can go to the website. We have the links and everything in the show notes. There's a big wall of just some faces, some icons of faces. And each one, you get a little pop-up of their little bio, where they shot, what happened, and, a little blurb. And, you can, the whole database on the website anyway, you can kind of parse out, like, where are all the House of Worship shooters? Oh, where are all the outdoor shooters and so on.
Right, you can kind of go through the big data. On
Right. Now, one of the things was age of perpetrators in years, which I don't know why else you would count years, but age of perpetrator in years, not months or days or eons or something.
Sure.
And the highest rated age group were 25 to 34, with 34 being the average. So pretty close to 33.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to say they rounded that one up a little bit. Yeah, so it's right there in the data, the average age of these shooters. They're saying 34. I would like to see this precise
It's probably
math on that.
33.5 or something.
33 point something, 33.3.
Well, they
always
would
round up. Round up when it comes to gun statistics.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, so there you go. There's some hard data. And again, this isn't some blog or some independent thing. It's a government-funded thing that, it's been featured on all the mainstream news outlets, this Violence Project, whatever it's called. So, yeah, I mean, it's not just us pointing out or seeing patterns here. This is at least acknowledged in some way.
It's really nice to have that, to sort of have that locked in the data.
Right.
It's not just us choosing which ones to do.
Yeah.
Now, along with the other sort of scaremongering, mind control tactics going on in the media right now, was the subway, incident.
Yeah.
Whereas mentally unhealthy person being very threatening, kind of freaking everybody out on the subway. Guy steps in, puts him in a headlock, kills him. He was probably assuming accidentally. I don't think he tried to kill the guy, but you know what? Once you start putting people in headlocks, it's kind of there's left up to a lot of chance there.
Jordan Neely's story, the New York passenger,
right,
or subway passenger.
Yeah, and this is again reigniting the mental health conversation, but on this case, it's on the left. So they like the mental health conversation when it's headlock death, but not when it's
of a black guy, right? Wasn't he black?
Right. Yeah. Not when it's a shooting situation. And so this mental health thing is getting bigger and bigger, and we've known this. We followed this. I didn't bring the article, but I mentioned it last time. The loneliness is the most deadly epidemic going on. It's affecting mental health, which affects the health of somebody's entire life. We've been seeing this pop up, of course, throughout the pandemic and the lockdowns, but really everything coming to a very violent head now, which connects quite directly to what we've been following in the pharmakia section of the show,
right?
The psychedelics, and we are kind of looking at a problem reaction solution, a nice little Hegelian dialectic popping up, where mental health is the number one killer. If you put they like to talk about how gun deaths are the highest rate of deaths for children. Well, if you take a second step back, get yourself out of the partisan politics of guns versus mental health. Mental health has to do with almost all of that. You could almost say definitionally mass shootings are directly a mental health crisis.
Big time.
But
Big time.
You add that with the all the other mental health issues, the loneliness, how that affects people's long-term health, as well as just everything else in there. It connects quite directly to the psychedelic solution, the psychedelic therapies. And also, as we've been following here, is the VR therapies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
psychedelia. You've got virtual reality. We had Fetterman, who went into that treatment facility, and we're almost certain that he
for sure
did
got
the
it, man.
for sure got the virtual reality therapy that got him out. He was all smiling. He was looking good, feeling good. Just as a quick note here's our JPost.org article. Psychedelic replications in virtual reality show potential in treating depressive symptoms. This is how we made the link to Fetterman. This is the specialty of the place that he went.
Yeah, the hospital he went to, military hospital specifically, was ranting about all their VR upgrades in the staffing and the treatments about a year ago. So
right,
interesting time.
Yeah, and it's one thing for the pharmaceutical companies to harness and sort of deconstruct, reconstruct, and then patent psychedelic chemicals, which is certainly in the works. We're seeing it happen right in front of our eyes. But this virtual reality psychedelic experience things is really trippy. And it's way easier to get somebody to strap on a VR headset and reprogram their depression via psychedelic imagery than it is to get approval and manufacturing of psychedelic compounds. And the thing with the VR is you could put a VR headset in every household in America, make it, they already figured out they could mandate medical procedures throughout the lockdowns, and how much easier would it be to mandate your daily VR government sponsored meditation to keep you healthy while they read your brain waves and establish a baseline for your emotional health.
We want to keep track of the emotional state of the country. Please sign up for our government emotion surveillance program.
Exactly. Like the article we just brought from China, which is being replicated in the U.S., the emotional detection, whether it's in schools or the workplace or now in their military, very simple wearable surveillance apparatus, not to mention the facial recognition and the AI, monitoring the current emotional state of people on a mass scale is becoming more and more plausible and useful. And all it really takes is everyone to agree that everybody is crazy. Mental health is an absolute disaster, and these, violence will continue unless we figure out a way. If the idea is that everybody is mentally ill and potentially violent, then the only solution becomes hyper-personalized individual surveillance on a mass scale of people's current state of mind, because
much in the way like the heart is monitored with if you had heart issues or things like that, right? It's like a health issue, literally, like an organ or something like that. Now it's your mental state, your psychology.
Yeah, and what the military in China is doing, and in the U.S. are trying to do, is make a simple wearable, just like a Fitbit or something. But instead of just tracking, your biomarkers, it tracks your emotional markers. And you could see, we've covered a lot of crazy sort of conspiracy thinking over the years, and unfortunately, it all seems to happen sooner than we expected. And so the idea that a sort of government mandated emotion tracking, mental health tracking be worked into just your daily life on a mass scale, maybe not every single person, but on a mass scale, maybe your employment is threatened if you don't have it. Maybe you're not allowed in certain buildings or areas of town without your emotion tracker, because why would anybody not wear the emotion tracker unless they were planning on shooting up the place?
Right. Well, I can see that kind of technology also becoming very ubiquitous in sports, because you're talking about throwing millions of dollars at young athletes who you have no idea if they have the mental fortitude to actually step into the bright lights and perform. And, there's a lot of players that are great in college who go to pros and don't make it because of the mental part. Physically, they're all gifted in different ways, but it's the mental part of it. So I can see that becoming a very big sort of analysis tool for the recruiters out there. Hey, step into our VR machine. We're just going to test out your competitive edge. How competitive are you, or something like that. But there's another dot to connect here as we move along here, and that is creating the crisis that leads everyone to wanting a VR treatment, or opening a VR treatment facility, or integrating more, open integration of VR and psychedelics into mental health treatments. And that is the downfall of the traditional way. And as part of that, we don't have a specific article to bring you per se, but I do have this NBC News article. This is about a month old, I think, or a couple months, February 6th. So a few months. The headline here is ADHD medication shortage is getting worse. What went wrong? And basically for the past few months, we've been having a shortage on Adderall, Ritalin, all these sort of mental health diagnosed, the pills. We're running out of pills. And so you have all these young people. And by the way, as of 2021, adults make up the majority of people on Adderall, I believe. Yeah, actionnews5.com. Adults are the biggest consumers of Adderall now. And so, again, they've had these people as customers, mental health customers, since they were children. And now they're adults, and they're still relying on these drugs. And all of a sudden, we have a shortage. And anytime we see a shortage, we know that they're trying to change things around, the pipelines around, the supply chain, whatever, but also social engineering, where you can have, I really think, and I don't have hard evidence to show, but just in my gut, that things like this, like a shortage in the mental, the drugs for things like ADHD, is creating a more angry population, of young people. Something.
Well, I hear that. Whether it's angry or something
just
else.
Something. It seems unhealthy.
When you here's the thing, people with true clinical ADHD, it's very difficult to exist in the system that we're in. It's not built for them. It doesn't work very well. And so the Adderall, in the best case scenario where a clinical Adderall prescription is given, it really just gives them the ability to function, pay their taxes, and to function in society.
Depending on that drug to function, which becomes a problem if the supply chain.
It becomes what makes them into a good citizen, basically. And then when that gets taken away, they're dropped right back on their butt in a system that doesn't work for them, or they don't work for, and it can create desperation. It can create frustration. You can lose a lot. You can lose your financial stability, lose your family stability, and it's just at the flip of a switch. The system can create sort of a mass instability in an adult population like that. And Adderall is one example, but there's so many more examples. You get a mass amount of people who are suddenly more desperate than they've ever been. And that includes, financially, when the economy, blah, 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 all the stuff. You're going to get some mental health issues making the news.
Well, and I'm also wondering what Abbott is referring to when it comes to mental health, some kind of initiative. Is he talking about a more progressive approach, or is it going to turn into a more kind of a literal sort of authoritarian approach where there's like Utah, where they're like, oh, you can't access the internet unless you're a certain age, and now we're enforcing all this stuff. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of a tenuous time, I would say, because a lot of it, in the simpleton kind of mindset of the right-left paradigm, it's going to be all social media is bad for mental health. Okay, well, what do? We restrict social media. It's going to be very simple. It's not going to be very, in my projection, anything too complicated. Yeah, so it'll be perceived as fascist. So anyway, there's a lot going on here, and I think we'll keep track of all this because it is unfolding right before our eyes, and there seems to be a common thread, a theme, and some patterns, and we'll keep track of all that because it's I think it's something that needs to be discussed more. But nuance is not really a thing for the general public. So if you're here, thank you for hearing us rant.
I got a question for you, Gons.
Yeah.
Do we have any speak pipe today?
Ooh, that is a good question. You know, in the rush of getting the show going, I didn't even check today. That's not good.
Oh, no. Speak pipe. Well, you can take a look while I tell people about it.
Okay.
You can leave us a message, folks. What, you got a jingle over there you want to hit?
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message. Yeah, folks, you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com. You'll see a green tab on the bottom or the right-hand side. Click on that. You can leave us a message. You can ask us questions, give us a comment, shout out to other listeners, or you can leave a little prayer to start out the pre-show with. So go check it out. And usually we will listen to them before the show and play them on the show. Do we have anything for today? I do see
we have
one.
Yeah, I see one from Breeze. Is that the one you're seeing?
Yeah.
Let's check it out here.
Okay.
Just a really quick private little message here.
No,
well done.
Private.
Well done, though. Well done for saying it at the beginning. Thank you, Breeze.
Good. That's
good
a great
job, Breeze.
example, everybody. That's we got to work that into the pitch every time.
We do.
If it is a private message, say it right at the top.
Right at the beginning. So
Breeze, you nailed it.
You win. Yes.
We should give Breeze gets a trophy.
3D printed trophy. A sculpture of a trophy.
Well, there
printed
you go,
by
folks.
Filippo.
Yeah, Felipe. Go leave us a message. That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
You know what? I do have some producers I want to thank.
Okay. That is, I don't know why that happened.
I don't know either. It's exciting. We're keeping it exciting around here. Yeah, folks, we're on the value for value model. You know this. I'm going to keep it really short and mostly just keep it to thank you. Honestly, just thank you guys so much. It means the world to both of us that the value for value model is working. It works to different degrees at different times. But overall, the value for value model is keeping the show alive. It's allowing us to devote all of our time to it. There's very few podcasts that are doing 3 times a week for as long as we do. And of course, we're always looking for ways to bring more value, work on different different and more content, work with quality, things around. And this just is basically 24/7. It's a 24/7 job. And it's only possibly because of you guys. And personally, I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude. If it weren't for the producers of the show, both the episode producers, the supply drop producers, the T-shirt council members, the executive producer, not to mention the artists and the people who come in and help with their time. I mean, it's all just incredible. And we'll talk to other people like us, like other. I don't know, for lack of a better word, content creators or whatever. And they're just full on astounded that it works, that what we're doing works, and it allows us to continue doing the work. And they're very impressed. I'll tell you, I won't name names, but there are some big names that we have talked to who are just absolutely dumbfounded that the value for value model is working.
Just look at our show and go, what in the world is this? How are they still here?
Just to be fully transparent, there are some names that we are not going to name, but everybody would know who they are.
I'm wondering who it is.
Gotten to talk to. Well, I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
Who are absolutely flabbergasted that we are still alive and get to do this for our job. And we take that very seriously. I just want to reiterate that. We take it very seriously. We do not take it for granted. We are just as flabbergasted as everybody else. But the value for value model set us free, not only sort of financially, so we're able to devote all of our time to this, but it also set us free from these common traps of doing an independent show, mainly taking corporate money, getting involved in exclusive platform deals, all of the things that inevitably, eventually take down a show, we have been able to avoid. And it's really incredible. And I'm just very impressed by each and every producer who jumps in and joins the team, honestly. So we're going to thank some of them now, Gons. You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, we thanked our executive producer, Morgan E. Thank you again, Morgan E. And it's a short list today. We got Sir Morv, Out of the Burning Chariots, 1111, 226 in a row.
226.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Thank you, Sir Morv.
Yeah. Then we've got Sir Marty K, Out of the Wrong Timeline, comes in for $10.11.
Thank you, Marty K. There's some mix-up with Marty K. It was my fault from last episode. I apologize.
We did a little mix-up on the audio that Marty K sent in, but we'll fix it. Thank you very much, Marty K. We'll have that later on in the show. Yep. Ronan Poet is back.
Hey.
Producer Ronan Poet. Yeah, 2 episodes in a row. Starting a streak.
There you go. Yep, start streaking.
7s. Yeah, came in with a pocket full of 7s. And it goes, Digital Renaissance, the flesh is the new account. Your soul will be the currency. You're lost within a paradigm, failing to see the urgency.
Ooh.
Ronan Poet. Thank you very much, Ronan Poet.
Deep. It's deep. It's commoditizing the human flesh.
Yeah, exactly. And the soul.
And the soul.
The soul.
Yeah.
Sorry, the title of that was Digital Renaissance. Okay. I'm going to throw in here Sir Alex Protocol V2, Out of the Berean Protocol, pocket full of 7s, 167 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol.
Yeah, and as far as I can tell, that is the end of the list of people who came in above $7.77. Okay. But we got some people that came in under that. I want to thank them right now. And I also wanted to thank the streakers. And here's the thing. The streakers are streaking. They're coming up. Sir Casey the Shield Knight is coming up on 300 episodes in a row.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, he's not a bajillionaire, so it's a modest, episode producership, but we count it because it's absolutely incredible. It's so spiritually valuable to me that somebody would take the time to just click the buttons 300 times in a row to support this show, and the reason we thank the streakers, even though, it's coming under $7.77, somebody might be like, okay, why are you even doing that? Because it's a kind of it's not necessarily all about the amount of money. Right. It's the devotion, faithfulness. I don't know about devotion, but faithfulness is really incredible.
It's really the commitment.
The commitment, right?
Show, yeah.
And that's why we like to get their name in every episode that they produce, because it's really incredible. It's really impressive and is incredibly heartwarming. So that's why that's just what we think about you. So, of course, I'll start out with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 294 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Yeah. Then we got Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's.
Thank you, Dame
256
Gale.
Episodes in a row.
Ooh, getting up there.
Dame Gale sent a note, and she didn't come in note reading territory, but I want to say, Dame Gale, we did get your note, and yes, the Twitch is up and running. We are not sort of promoting it too much right now because we're just seeing what happens. So you can find us on Twitch, folks. I put the button in the thing. So, but Gail and some of the old school Twitchers are back on Twitch. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
And Gail had a praise report. Her housing situation is getting figured out, and is getting figured out fast. And it seems to be like the Lord has a hand on the housing situation, which we love to hear. We've been praying for you for that.
Hallelujah.
And then there was a prayer request. So call the producers real quick.
Producers, assemble!
Yeah, the producers are you. Anybody out there who commits to praying for the show, praying for the producers, praying for these prayer requests. We're putting Dame Gale and her daughter on the list. Her daughter, as we know in the past, has had some surgeries and health issues and things like that. And we want to put her back on the list because I won't go through all the details, but they're going for kind of a round 2 situation on this, it looks like. Right. Some of they're figuring out if something is malignant and what the situation is. So there, we're putting Dame Gail's daughter on the list. Thank you very much for your faithfulness in supporting the show, Dame Gail.
Thank you, Dame Gail.
And of course, we've got Veronica D, 256 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D. Right there with
we got Doctor Who. Yeah, Doctor Who done that, 55 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who done that.
And 283 episodes in a row, Sir Scott Knight of Truth.
Sir Scott Knight of Truth, thank you.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious. Women rule.
There you go.
Yes. And because we're on a time limit today, Gons, let's do some art right now.
Oh, we're all straight into the art. Let's do it.
Let's go straight into it. Oh, I guess, yeah.
Sorry. What? Yeah. What do you want? You want?
I don't know.
Thank you,
I was going to say thank you for your patronage.
Take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your patronage.
Now we'll do audio.
Audio production.
All right. We're going to thank some producers coming in with their talent, their God-given talent. If you get value out of the show, provide value back by helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry Newstalk. I played something on the last episode, which I thought was the submission by Martin K. Night of the Wrong Timeline. Turned out it was something
else.
Something else. Not that. So he sent in a note. Hey peeps, I'll try it again. LOL. And so we have this 30-second video song here. We'll just let it run.
Because all of us have had to deal with this in some form, some way, some shape, at some point in our lives. This is not new. And that is the problem.
Why am I toxic?
What is going on?
Bring it on, Sir Marty. You and I will compete for AOC.
There you go. So apparently, if I'm getting this right,
copyright strike on that.
Sir Martin K. It wants to compete with you for AOC or something like that. And now Matt Gaetz is involved.
We have our long-running battle that Marty K has crafted such a beautiful narrative around about winning over the heart of AOC. We'll see. Bring it on, Sir Marty K. I mean, he's a knight at the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. It's hard to compete with that. I'll tell you what, folks.
Well, I see this as being.
Thank you very much, Sir Marty.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Marty K. I can see this as being part of a internal conflict plot line. Maybe later in the future, a little inside fighting going on, always. But sure. It always works out in the end when she turns into a lizard lady. Okay, art production.
One art, please.
We will do the Sir Dove.
One art, please, from Dove.
Here's a note to go along. Piece for this week's Bible artwork. I did an illustration for Mark 11:23. Truly, I tell you that if anyone says to this mountain, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and has no doubt in his heart, but believes it will happen, it will be done for him. I always imagined a tiny little mustard seed telling a giant mountain to go throw himself into the sea, and the mountain being kind of sad about it. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins.
That's right, and that is precisely what we have illustrated here for us. We've got a spunky little mustard seed, very small, so cute, very small, very spunky, little rascal. And we got a speech bubble. Go jump in that sea, as he's pointing at a mountain, a big purple mountain with arms and legs and feet and hands, like a regular mountain. And he looks kind of bummed about this, but he knows he must do it. Very cute. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
The Lord said to do it. You must do it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Excuse me. Oh, Microfiction.
Microfiction.
Time. Microfiction.
Wrong smash.
Dancing on center stage is Hank. His 6 robot arms partners, his legs burn under the combined weight, but he stands strong. Interrupting his crescendo, a scrappy young woman barrels through the back door, disastrously disrupting the performance.
That's those spider flippy arm ladies.
Mm-hmm. Runk Smash was listening to the show last episode, and he heard us talking about Tales of the Canarium, putting something together, maybe like a graphic novel, comic book, or something like that. He provided in order the text for the last 33 microfictions.
Ooh.
So we do have that. And so I don't know. I was thinking if there's any artists out there who wanted to do a series, maybe illustrating each of these microfictions, maybe in like a comic book type of format, or maybe just in different images, or maybe we get multiple artists in on it or something, make it a real crowdsourced thing. And if we do that, then we can print it up, put it in the supply drop. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, the Canary Collective making art.
Yeah, so that exists now. We'll be praying and thinking about exactly how to go about that. But if you're someone who has a opinion or interest in that, send us an email, canarycryradio@gmail.com, because the last 33 microfictions have a lot of potential, a lot of very creative potential for some cool illustrative partnership.
Might be this might be too much work, but it'd be cool if each microfiction, within the words, is hyperlinked to the episodes where we talked about it, or the clips where we talked about those things. But that's asking for too much.
Sure, that
crazy...
was an idea. Put it in an email and send it to us, Gons. We're open to all ideas.
Got it. He will open it and read it and say, "Brilliant idea from this fella." This gonzo journalist. It's a genius
Derwin.
Email. Yeah, Derwin is brilliant. Okay, we got another microfiction from Stephen S.
Steven!
Here we go.
Why My Tech engineers chat about their AI RPG project named Sea Haven.
Yesterday, one of the agents told the others, "It feels like the whole world revolves around me somehow." And today is asking about traveling to Fiji.
Yes, this has to do with the Ars Technica article that we talked about. Surprising things happen when you put 25 AI agents together in an RPG town.
That's right. And isn't it true? Yeah. Well, thank you to all of our talented producers and our financially generous producers. We've got some more producers to thank at the end of the show, but thank you all very much. If you're a creative person or a person who just wants to contribute to the show, of course, you can support the show at canarycry.support.
Oh, that was my cue. Sorry, yes, I blanked out.
It's no
Somebody
problem.
clipped me completely zoning out. You can see it on my face. I was like,
canarycryradio.com/support.
And if you want to produce the show with your talent, you can go to canarycry.art. Canarycry.art has our upload form there for us. That would be wonderful. And if you have any articles you want us to consider for the show, go to canarycry.report. So you got canarycry.support, canarycry.art, canarycry.report. Look at all these fun, newfangled URLs. And other than that, let us continue the show. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Put aside any ideological considerations. There will be breakthrough infection. Get double vaccination followed by a boost and a boost and a boost, and make sure you get another booster. The virus is going to find you. It's semantics.
Oh, we had some fun jingles over COVID, didn't we? All right, we got a quick one here about COVID, long COVID. This is slate.com. And the headline here, Where are the treatments for long COVID? And then the subheadline, we don't know why the virus can lead to persistent symptoms. We urgently need more research on therapies anyway. They're getting a little restless over there. Big Pharma. Shaney Wright, a safety and risk management professional who's been suffering from long COVID for 3 years. 3 years, Basil. Doesn't hide his frustration about the fact that there are no proven therapies for his condition. See, they always have to do it they have to couch it as a personal interest story because, I think maybe long COVID is a mind virus. It's not a real thing. It's just a mental state.
Oh, well, that's why we know people taking antidepressive drugs get cured of long COVID. That's a fact.
And then they take away that we have a shortage of the mental health drugs. So
there you go.
Quote, long COVID is a vile disease that affects every bodily system. It affects your ability to live, eat, sleep, and work, he said. That feels like it should be the other way. Okay, many people have been struggling for 2 or 3 years with no end in sight. Finding treatments makes humanitarian and economic sense. The lack of urgency is profoundly unethical and irrational. End quote. Like many people with debilitating long-term symptoms, right now 32. He's right at there. He's almost 33. Was young and healthy when he got COVID-19 in April of 2020. Since then, he's experienced issues ranging from a racing heart and low blood pressure to constant tinnitus, dizziness, and shortness of breath. A growing body of evidence shows that SARS-CoV-2 can lead to more than 200 post-acute symptoms, leaving some patients so disabled they can barely leave their beds. The prevalence of long COVID remains unclear. It's hyperlinked to another Slate article, with the World Health Organization definition encompassing anyone who has symptoms like fatigue or shortness of breath after 3 months. So it's not, hey, you might be out of shape after COVID, but hey, if you're out of breath and it's been 3 months since you've had COVID, you have long COVID. You know? It's like, oh no, I thought I was just out of shape. No, you have long COVID, dude. You should do something about that. But even if the fraction of people with persistent illness is small, that still could add up to millions of Americans, more than 1.2 million people living with HIV. And this is the main part of the article. And then this article is really long. We won't go through everything. Scientists don't know why some patients with COVID fail to get better, though a number of avenues are being explored. The clues they have suggest that patients would likely benefit from pharmaceutical therapies, but without a known mechanism for definitive diagnostics, government agencies and pharmaceutical companies seem reluctant to develop and test treatments. That leaves patients like Wright in a terrible lurch. Quote, we've been knocking on the doors of every company. They say, interesting idea. Come back to us when you know how to measure long COVID, said Stephen Deeks, a professor of medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, and one of the world's leading HIV cure researchers. Quote, we desperately need tests to provide a way to diagnose and manage the syndrome. So all this time we've been hearing about long COVID, we've identified that, hey, this seems more like a mental thing than an actual physical thing. And we all know that they're intertwined, right? Your mind, your mental state can have effects on your physical body. But in this case, it's hilarious to see Stephen Deeks here, this professor of medicine. He's a lead researcher and looking for a cure for HIV. And he's all fed up. He's like, we're knocking on all these doors. We're talking to governments. We're talking to these pharmaceutical companies that are like, hey, we got to do something about long COVID. And they all say, hey, we like the idea, but hey, once you can measure it, come back to us.
Right. There's no diagnostic. There's no test. There's no nothing. It's similar to how, the doctors were given sort of free reign to label a COVID death a COVID death or not. You know, it's a similar thing with long COVID. There's no actual physical scientific way to even identify it. Like you can't even look at it in a microscope and be like, yes, long COVID, I see. And it's just entirely random. Well, so you're not going to get a cure to something you can't even see.
Well, it's Q&A, you know. Has it been 3 months since you had COVID? Yes. Are you short of breath sometimes? Yeah. When I go up a flight of stairs, that's long COVID, sir. You know.
Right.
Ridiculous. So anyway, I just thought it was funny that they're scrambling to keep this thing going. I don't know. If it's not even getting traction with governments and pharmaceutical companies, I don't see it happening. Although maybe this is sort of the Hegelian dialectic again, where it's kind of, hey, we need a solution. Give us the tools to measure long COVID, and then it becomes quantified some way, and then they're allowed to continue on with the enforcement.
It's research. The problem is research. Right. We don't have the research. We can't do it. We don't have the money. We need money for research. And that's not the only thing hampering the research, Gons, because the Wall Street Journal is reporting the U.S. is running out of research monkeys.
Oh, no, not research monkeys.
There we go. Yes, we've seen the egg shortage. We've seen the research shortage. We've seen what else? We had the gas shortage.
The pharma. We just had the pharma shortage here, the Adderall
shortage. We've got shortages across the board, folks, including America's monkey shortage is getting worse. The pandemic has exacerbated a continuing supply crunch, throttling research and threatening the country's ability to respond to public health disasters, including, you guessed it, the next pandemic.
Oh, they're already planning.
So we don't have enough monkeys. And I'll spare you the details. But the price of research monkeys has gone from $5,000 a few years ago to now $35,000.
Yikes.
These monkeys,
inflation. Inflation's hitting the monkey market.
It's hard. It's hard to breed these monkeys. It takes 4 years to get a female to breeding age, and blah, 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 blah. The monkeys were out of monkeys. They do mention that they are making strides with AI and artificial intelligence models and cells and culture, but they aren't ready to replace monkeys. See, guys, that's how I know we're safe for now with AI, is because AI can't even replace monkeys. So the humans, what does that say for us? I don't know. Maybe we'll have a day or two more.
I think the AI is going to convince everybody that we don't even need monkeys. Let's just go right to the humans. We got plenty. Look at this mental health crisis we're having. Let's just go ahead and, the monkey thing is nice. It's safe. But, how important is this crisis?
They called it the perfect storm. These monkeys, we're running out of these monkeys. It hampers all sorts of research. Science is coming to a standstill.
Oh my gosh!
Because we don't have enough monkeys. Yes, all research that includes monkeys is coming to an absolute standstill, and they're having to turn away different research projects and turn away all this science that could be. I mean, basically, the shortage of monkeys is sending us back to the Stone Age, Gons.
Well, what solutions are proposed here? I mean, other than
none.
None.
Not
Money even cloning monkeys.
Well, that's what I think. There was a strange sort of underlying message throughout this whole article, is that the only thing that we can do, basically it's we must do anything to get more monkeys.
Morally,
we are required. We have a manifest destiny to get more monkeys. And if we don't, we're all going to die. The next pandemic is going to get us. So there is this underlying conversation about cloning monkeys, creating monkeys
I know why this
faster. Not just cloning them, but look. What would kill two birds with one stone? What needs more research, and what also needs monkeys is the recent fertilization technology that we saw.
The artificial wombs.
Artificial wombs and artificial
inseminator.
Whatever, the robot arm.
The robot needle inseminator, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm just going to call this shot. They're going to start pumping out these monkeys as fast as possible.
I think
because these monkeys take 4 years to get a female to breeding age. They just need monkeys so much faster that they're using the breeding females for science before they can even get to breeding age. And so I think we're going to see some serious headway in the artificial wombs, starting with monkeys.
Well, I think there's another sort of thread to this, which is China, because of course we're in a a spiritual war with China. I mean, to be quite frank.
Yeah,
and Nature.com, this is from 2019, January. Chinese effort to clone gene-edited monkeys kicks off. So that's back in 2019. That's pandemic year, So
before pandemic year.
The year that it, at least in China, the year that they started announcing stuff at the end. Genetically identical primates could provide improved animal models for human disease, but some researchers raise ethical issues. So China's for sure doing it. The United States, dark underground military, black labs, for sure cloning monkeys. It's just they need the social climate to really, start deploying them, I guess. And what not a better way than, hey, we're running out of research monkeys. We need to clone them. Yeah, I think.
And with as much blowback that Fauci's been getting, on not just on COVID stuff, but also just the state of our scientific industry already. I mean, plus his beagles, Fauci's beagles, dead beagles. That's a horrific thing.
Oh my gosh.
He's definitely hit some setbacks as far as getting that monkey cloning facility going.
I can picture a very dystopic time where people that have the really the Bored Ape Yacht Club, like those, and then the mutant apes, they sponsor a clone, and they make a real life cloned ape of their NFT apes. That's the world we're headed into.
Welcome to the future, folks.
Yeah, great. Well, a future where Newsom does math.
It's Newsom science, baby! Ha!
I wish it was Newsom math, because I don't think he can do math. I don't think Newsom's a math guy. This is the Epoch Times. I do have another article, the LA Times, to sort of supplement all this. But California defaults on $18.6 billion debt. Now businesses have to pay. Oh, isn't that great?
Amazing how Gavin went from a $30 billion surplus after the pandemic, and suddenly they're 18 billion in the hole. Where'd the 50 bill go? Where'd the 50 billion go?
I know at least one went to those masks we ordered from the Chinese car company.
Mm-hmm.
Really worked out well. 1 billion went towards okay, California borrowed approximately $20 billion from the federal government to cover unemployment benefits during the pandemic, and with Gavin Newsom's recent decision to not pay it back, employers are now saddled with the expense, according to experts. Quote, the state should have taken care of the loans with the COVID money it received from the government in 2021. Mark Yoffie, policy analyst at the Cato Institute, a public policy think tank headquartered in Washington, D.C., told the Epoch Times, which, by the way, the Epoch Times, man, they are just going super mainstream. They are, they're the anti-CCP Chinese affiliated news outlet here, and they've gone major big time. And I think they're affiliated with NTD as well. And, I was scrolling through my parents have cable, and, you scroll through the cable box of channels, and right there, like next to all the TBS, CNN, all that stuff was, TND or TND, TZN, whatever it is.
And
NTD, sorry, blanking for a moment. Yeah, NTD. So it's definitely going mainstream. In the proposed 2023 to 2024 budget, $750 million was allocated to start paying down the loans, but Newsom made changes to the plan in January and withdrew the funding. Mm-hmm. And we'll have to get into the details here, but basically, we're talking California owes the most out of all the states. From borrowing from the federal government during the pandemic at $18.6 billion outstanding as of May 2nd, followed by New York, $8 billion, Connecticut, $187 million, Colorado, $77 million. So, hey, only a couple people in the bills, and that's New York and California.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well,
so that's one
timing.
side.
Yeah, good timing on his part.
We're down $20 billion. So what do, California? California giving reparations for slavery? Here's what you need to know. This is LA Times. Yeah, so there's been some reparation talks, but here's what it is. California's reparations task force voted on Saturday to recommend that the state issue a formal apology for slavery and potentially provide billions of dollars in cash payments, moving forward a historic effort to enact remedies and compensation for descendants of African Americans who were enslaved in the U.S. The vote at the public meeting in Oakland marks the beginning of the end of the 9-member panel's 2-year process to craft a report recommending reparations for slavery, which is due to the state legislature by July 1st. Yada, yada, yada. We can get into. Oh, by the way, the task force had heard testimony for more than 133 witnesses. If it's more, then why? Give us the number 133. Must be a signal. Such as scholars detailing California's racist history and economists who offered suggestions for how to quantify compensation for health disparities, mass incarceration, and housing discrimination against descendants. And there's another article, I think the Fox article. Here it is. Fox News, California reparations panel approves payments of up to $1.2 million to every black resident. And this one breaks down a little bit more, just how much people will actually be getting. Let's see. I think it was, for instance, black residents affected by redlining by banks would receive $3,366. 3366 for each year they lived in California from the early 1930s to the late 1970s, amounting to up to $148,099. Similarly, black residents could receive roughly $2,352 in compensation for over-policing and mass incarceration for each year they lived in California between 1970 and 2020. Those payments could amount to $115,260. So it's kind of, a trickle out effect, but I've been saying, and I've been tracking some of this on Twitter for a few weeks, and my whole feeling on this is that I think this is a way, of course there's a UBI angle to this and everything, but it's also providing some kind of liquidity for California, especially because California being one of the more inflated states. When the US dollar hyperinflates, you need some people spending money, and you can't, a lot of people are probably going to go broke. Lord willing, we don't. But, it's a perfect time for corporations to maintain a source of liquidity, of cash flow. And so you need a population that has a little bit of extra cash, or cash they didn't really work for, to continue to spend. I would like to think ideologically that people that receive this money will use the money for, good investments, or building something, building a business, or building something, a park, but a lot of physical infrastructure in California takes so much bureaucracy that's not going to happen. Number two, it's not culturally there. I don't have much hope for that. But I do think it's more of an inflationary thing, where they're getting ready for some crazy inflation. They need some people spending money. So here's some more government money, and they're packaging it in this way for this iteration.
It's some fancy accounting footwork is what it is, because it'll be state money going out. And here's the thing with the tax flight from California, and California losing 1% of their entire population, took some hits in potential taxes for the state. They, the GDP, especially with the entertainment industry tanking, and the economy, California was the fourth largest economy in the world, I believe.
Yeah, I think we're five now.
Yeah, you probably got knocked down at least one notch there.
Yeah. Lost you.
People are spending in your state. And so if you want to give your GDP a little boost, give out $800 billion. And then those people go out. What do? They spend $800 billion. And suddenly you can add $800 billion onto your GDP.
Hey.
It seems like a little bit of illusion magic there in order to make it look like the situation in California is not so dire, especially when it comes to, potential re-elections, or even just the legacy of the Pelosi clan and Gavin Newsom, this sort of stuff. It's really just the grand illusion that they're preparing, not just the grand illusion of sort of the reparations, that them caring about the social justice type of thing.
They care. They don't.
Yeah, they don't care. They get to wrap up this nice little bow of social justice around what honestly just amounts to fraud. Like it's kind of just like tax fraud, not on behalf of the minorities, but on behalf of the state. They are creating an illusion that there is much more economic activity in their state than there actually is. And it'll probably work, honestly.
Well, I'm doing some math here. According to some consensus reports from 2019, there's about 2.3 million Californians who identify as African American, and if we're giving out $1 million to each one of those folks, I mean, we're talking $2 trillion. You know, but hey, we're $18 billion in debt, but we're going to hand out $2 trillion.
Right.
But it's also kind of like it reminds me of stock buybacks. You know, it's kind of like a zombie state. Yeah. If your company's in a zombie state, you buy back the stock, you know, of your own company to make it seem like there's more going on than there really is.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Greg, that's some Newsom science right there. And I don't think anybody can pull it off. We need Mr. Newsom up there to make sure everyone follows along.
Women,
well, I know one thing that might boost the California economy, specifically, the Hollywood industry, if they have some more, I don't know, moon landings that they can shoot or something, kind of give a little boost. This is coming from Indy100.com. Scientists discover gigantic structure under the surface of the moon. Whoa.
Space. Wanna go to space?
How did they do that? The moon has been a subject of awe and fascination for millennia, with its shape-shifting powers and enigmatic dark side. Okay, strong start. Shape-shifting moon.
I'm noticing a lot of language becoming mythological. A lot of mainstreamy kind of more sort of allegedly grounded scientific or just mainstream stuff being very flamboyant
the
with their
religiosity of science.
The enchantment. Yeah.
And though it's it's the one celestial body on which man has taken small steps, we still have big leaps to go in understanding its potential and uncovering its secrets. However, one hidden feature of the moon has been unearthed by scientists and is very, very big and very, very heavy.
Ooh.
Basin, one of the largest preserved craters in the solar system, is a structure that weighs at least 2.18 billion kilograms and measures more than 300 kilometers in depth and 2,000 kilometers in length. It's like a big bathtub, a very big bathtub.
It's 186 miles by 1,243 miles for anyone doing
The researchers who made the discovery, all based in the U.S., posited that the anomaly could be made out of metal from the core of an asteroid or oxides from the crystallization of a magma ocean. Quote, one of the explanations of this extra mass is that the metal from the asteroid that formed this crater is still embedded in the moon's mantle. Lead author Peter B. James from Houston Baylor University said in a statement shared with IFL Science. Illustrating just how gigantic the thing is, he went on, quote, imagine taking a pile of metal 5 times larger than the big island of Hawaii and burying it underground. That's roughly how much unexpected mass we've detected.
Sounds like an underground Nazi base.
Well, interesting you say that, because the article goes on here. Okay. The groundbreaking finding was made thanks to NASA's Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory mission, which measures Nazi bases that are located on the moon and other secret places like Antarctica.
It's the Holy Grail, the Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory Grail mission. This is the Holy Grail.
Exactly. Yeah. They found the underground bunker, a very large underground bunker. It harkens back to the ringing like a bell story, where they crashed the satellite into the moon and it rang like a bell, like a hollow bell.
Yeah,
it's just a big bell, It's just an actual
bell. It's just a big bell. That's all the moon is.
It's just a big bell. They built a bell. It was too big, so they put it on the moon. Data collected by Grail can then be used to study the internal composition of our cratered companion. The South Pole, Aitken Basin, has been at the center of numerous investigations because of just how many Nazi bases are located there. The region offers clues both on the interior composition of our closest satellite and its history, and the ultimate landing spot of Nazi astronauts who are trying to escape something Hitler, and other mysteries that it holds. So this is interesting. They're doing a great job of continuing to build the narrative about just how special their science is, and just how sort of ambiguous a giant metal structure under the surface of the moon can be presented in the mainstream media. I love it.
Well, the other part of it, having it allegedly be on the south pole of the moon, brings attention to Antarctica. And maybe, is this just a feature of all spherical dimensions where, the bottoms are all holes to caves that have large metal structures?
And they're all hiding Nazis. Nazis hide at the bottom of all ball-like structures.
Mexican Nazis, penguin Nazis, all kinds of Nazis.
Yeah, there's so
many different kinds. Nephilim Nazis.
Okay.
White
all right,
Nazis.
That's enough Nazis. That's enough Nazis, Gons.
All right, we're going to get banned off YouTube.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to
He's
this
yelling
episode
about
of Canary
Nazis for no reason.
We're a little bit short today, but you know what? Once you start shouting about Nazis, the conversation is over. We all know that. And we appreciate, once again, your commitment to keeping this show going. It really is your guys' show. If it wasn't for the participation of the producers, there would be no show, and we would have much less fun getting to explore, analyze, deconstruct, and hold the mainstream media accountable. If you consider the decade or more now that we've been doing this work and the changes that we never thought we would see, such as the complete destruction of outlets like BuzzFeed News and Vice, and the unveiling, the lifting of the veil on the power structures that keep these corporations in their controlling sort of positions, as well as the slow but steady trickle of mainstream news corporations and personalities losing the trust of the public and ultimately losing their jobs. It's really fun to watch, and we couldn't do without you guys, so thank you so much. We thanked our financial producers, our creative producers, from the bottom of our hearts, and there's a couple other more producers I'd like to thank, starting with our Clippies.
Clippy all those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks to Emsworth, Faye Livern, Jolmes, and Laura for clipping out the show, maintaining and managing and populating the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey, and soon to be Rumble, folks. So thank you very much. And that wouldn't be possible without the timestampers.
Where are the timestamps? Here they are.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Sorry, I just made a weird noise.
You made a weird noise?
Yeah, it's
with your body. Your body made a weird noise. Yeah, it's the dad noise. Yeah. Thank you to our timestamper Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps last episode. We appreciate it. We are having a little bit of shift once again in the timestampers, folks. So if anybody out there wants to get involved and help us out with something that is so incredibly important, like the timestamps, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. We'd appreciate it very much. And you can join the team, get in touch with us. It's a good time.
Thank you.
Other than that, thanks to Jam for the links. Thanks to Clank for everything you do, Clank. And thanks to...
Let me thank Alistair, who sent in an article about the Stone of Scones for the Coronation.
The Stone of Scone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Appreciate
Thank you very
that. I think
much
we
for
talked about
that.
that at one point in the past. But it was a good reminder.
That's right. Yeah. And he did that by going to canarycry.report.
Yep.
And other than that, share the show, folks. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your dog, share it with your houseplants. Your houseplants, they want to grow big and tall and strong and wise. And the only way to get wise houseplants that can stick with you throughout your whole life, giving you the advice that you need, the oxygen that you require, is to go ahead and play Canary Cry News Talk softly in the background when you leave the house. Your plants will like it. They will start doing research for you soon, where they will discover how to use ChatGPT, and then you'll be surrounded by highly technological houseplants that can also serve as conversational partners, or sort of like an on-demand Wikipedia. I don't know. You get it. The plants. We need them. So go play Canary Cry News Talk to your plants, and they will spread the news through their root structures and pollen. You'll get some people get allergies during certain times of the year because of the pollen being released. But if you play Canary Cry News Talk to your plants, that pollen can then get into your nose, and instead of sneezing, you suddenly have you're able to sniff out the lies of the mainstream media. So give that a try. I recommend it highly to everybody out there. And other than that, just share the show. We call it rattling cages, and all you do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, you got any last words?
We'll see everybody on Wednesday, the 10th. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, it's National Emu Week. So, yeah. Should have said it at the top of the show. Well, we got next episode to talk about emus. So.
Remind me, I'll try to take some pictures of the Kevins. We can put them on the show.
We need the appearance. Yeah, interview them. Maybe have them report a story. Boots on the ground. Let's go. Goodbye.
All right, everybody. Oops. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nazis!
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths!
Satanists!
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
I love the Great Reset.
Upgrade or something, right?
Sure is. Sounds, I feel like a SoundCloud rapper now. Changing the intro music has historically been the most traumatizing possible thing we can do to people.
Yeah. People get really upset. People get really excited.
Fun.
Really excited.
I mean, I'm not gonna make a big long thing about it, but getting traumatizing specifically, kind of other ways to produce trauma.
I'm
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone said, no, that was fun.
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.